Okay, so bootstrapping is the starting process of Angular. Okay, so whenever um, uh, your application development is done, and let's say you built your application and you deploy in production, right? So when you deploy it, when you try to access that website, that Angular website, the entire JavaScript and HTML templates, everything will be downloaded to your browser, right? So once they download it, so there is a way, there is a process actually which kicks in to load this Angular project in your browser. Okay, this process is called bootstrapping. Okay? Bootstrapping is the general meaning of bootstrapping is nothing but starting process. Okay, so that's the reason we call it bootstrapping. Now where it will start? Okay, mostly in most of the programming language like take C language or C++ or Java, right? So all these languages basically have a main file. Okay, so in the main file, main class or main file or main method, right? So actual the starting of the programming will be done. Okay, so taking same concept into Angular, basically the starting process, like the first method in Angular is this one, main.ts. Okay, the first file is executed is main.ts. Okay, and once the main.ts is executed, so the code will look like this. Okay, I'll show in the editor also. The main.ts file will look like this. Okay, so first it will execute this line. This is the single line too, because these two are imports. These two are imports, and this is the line it will execute. Okay, so what method it will execute? It will execute bootstrap module method, and it will take app module as the input. Okay, it will take app module as the input, and we go to app module. This is our app module. Okay, so app module has um, the list of dependency imports and the list of your components, and it will take one another parameter or like field called bootstrap. Okay, so this is basically we're telling Angular that whenever Angular loads, try to load this component first. Okay, so the chain will start like this. First step is Angular will download your index, sorry, the browser will download your index.html. That is the first step done by browser. And once it downloaded, it will download all other JavaScript files and template files, CSS files in the index.html. Right? So once it downloaded all those files, then it will execute the this one uh, platform browser dynamic dot bootstrap module dot bootstrap module of app module. Okay, so it will look for app module, because the first thing is executed by Angular is this one. So it will look for app module. Okay, if you go to app module, in the app module we are telling these are the declarations and this is a bootstrap component you have to load. You're telling to Angular, and it look for app component. Okay, where is app component? Here it is. Okay, in app component, what is the selector we have? It's the app root. Okay, we have app root as selector. So one second. Sorry. So what is the selector we have? We have app root. Okay, so if you go to index.html, the component name or like component we are referring is this one, app component. Okay, that is the reason we have this as app root. Whenever you create a new Angular project, it will basically have a selector called app root, and this app root is basically in your main index HTML. Okay, now you understood the relation. First, it will start with the main.ts. Main.ts, it will execute this code, and then once it executed this code, we are referring app module in the main.ts. Okay. Now, next step is it will go to the app module.ts, and app module.ts is here. And in the app module.ts, we mentioned Bootstrap property, and we give a component name. Okay, and what is that component name? App component, and it will go to app component, and it will look for app component, and then it will try to execute this component. Okay, so whatever you write in this component will be executed regardless you have any number of components. Let's say you have 10 components, but what is the first component it will try to execute? It will execute only app component because it is mentioned in the Bootstrap section of engine module. Okay, and the main difference between this app module and other feature modules, right? We covered the feature module topic as well. So the difference between app module and feature module is basically in the feature modules you will not have this. Okay, only in app module you have this Bootstrap component. Other modules we don't need to have this Bootstrap Bootstrap property. Okay, so that is the main difference. And this process is called um, the bootstrapping process. Okay, so in place of this app root, your app component HTML will be placed, executed. Okay, so this will be rendered in place of app root. Okay, so whatever you write in app component will be executed. So if we high level view, right? So if you look at Angular at a high level, then basically your execution will start from app component. That is the reason. Let's go to app component. Yeah, here. So you can write any logic or anything here in the app component.html. You can put anything. This will be executed first. So that is the reason your application should always have. Let me open our project. Okay, so this is a file will be executed, and your app component HTML should always have um, this router outlet. When you're using routing concept, routing feature, you have to have router outlet, and any route you click, right, so basically that will be placed here. So that's how you can split your application. So basically the entire application, Angular application execution starts from here only, the app component.html. Okay, so the before process is first it will go to main.ts, and main.ts we have this line. It will execute bootstrap module, and then we are referring app module here. We are giving app module as input to this method. And if you go to the app module, in the app module we have this one bootstrap field, and in the bootstrap field we are mentioning app component. It will go to app component, and in the app component it will execute on in it, and then it will go to the app component .html. Okay, so this will be rendered. If we go to index.html, what we have app root. If you want to change, okay, sometimes if you want to change, you don't want to follow this default thing, right? So you can have as you can have any name. Okay, not necessarily app root. You can say app starting component. Okay, you can have this one. You can create that app starting component, some component you can create here in the using the ng CLI. But when you go to there, instead of using app component.ts, you have to use that component for your starting HTML, starting template. Okay, so that is the, and also in app module, in the bootstrap section, you have to change it to the app starting component. Okay, after creating it. So this is how you can basically start the Angular application. So we don't have to do anything here. So we just have to know this because this is very important question in the interviews. Okay, so they'll ask this: what is the bootstrapping process? From where it will start and where it will go? Okay, so that is the important thing. We have to have knowledge. But Angular developers or Angular framework developers gave us an easy way to do all these things by just executing a command. Okay, if you create the Angular project for the first time, it will do all these things for you. It will configure, it will create main.ts, and it will create your index.html, and it will create all the app module, app component, and it will give you the bare minimum project which is in running state. Okay, let me revert this. Okay, so any questions in this process?
No, sir. Yeah.
Okay, good, right? Okay,
Yeah.
then let's move on to the next topic we missed, right? So using third-party libraries in Angular. Okay, so why we need to use third-party libraries in Angular? Because Angular is a big framework, right? So basically, and it's an open source framework. And as a developer, you cannot do everything. You cannot write every feature you need, right? Most of them are available freely over the internet. Okay, so we have to at certain times we have to depend on some libraries which are very handy or which are very useful for our project, right? So in those cases, how we can implement that, or how we can basically use that. Sorry, how we can use that. So there are like two things basically. One is JavaScript libraries, and second one is Angular modules. Okay, the first one is JavaScript modules or JavaScript libraries, or second one is basically Angular is developed in TypeScript, right? So the second one is, we can say, TypeScript modules also. Now here, in order to install JS libraries, so what you have to do is basically uh, let's see this example first, and then we'll go to the Bootstrap example. So first thing is you have to use this command. Okay, whatever dependency or whatever library you want to install, right? Just you have to install using the npm command, node package manager. Okay, npm install lodash. So what this will do is, this command will basically take this dependency, and it will check if it is available in npm repository. If it is available, then it will download, and it will put in the ng modules folder. Okay, so our project will have the ng modules folder, right? So this folder, so it will download the dependency, and it will put inside this ng modules folder. And once that is done, and we have to basically use that, right? So in order to use that, uh, you have to import that into your project. Okay, so how we can import that? We can import using the import keyword, and because this is a JavaScript library, it will not have any specific module name. Okay, so that's the reason we use star. Okay, lodash is basically utility JavaScript functions. Okay, there are many functions in that, just to manipulate some arrays or object, or just compare big objects, right? So you don't have to write those methods by your own. So most of the reusable methods are available in lodash. So we have to install using this command, and once that is installed, you can basically import all the functions, and you can give a reference to it. Okay, you can give a, b, c, or you can give lodash itself. I just give underscore. Underscore is also kind of a variable name here in JavaScript world, right? So I'm importing lodash, and then I'm importing everything as a star. Sorry, underscore, and I'm referencing it with underscore, right? So console.log underscore is basically a reference name for your lodash. You can basically give lodash also, lodash dot chunk, and this is an array, and I'm giving two. So this is a representation of usage. Okay, not necessarily you might use this method, but this is a representation, or like a demo purpose. I'm using this chunk method. So what this will do is, it will take this array as input, and then it will return uh, first two values of that array. Okay, um, basically, if you want to do this feature or this scenario in your code somewhere in a business logic, then you have to write this method and you have to implement that logic by your own. But because this method is already available, you can basically import it from the Lodash, and you can basically call the chunk method and it will return the 2 values. If you want more values, you can mention this to you can change this to higher number. Okay, so that is basically installing JavaScript libraries. Okay, so installing JavaScript libraries. So the JavaScript libraries is basically set of methods, a set of reusable functions. That is the reason we are using import star. Okay, but in our other scenarios, if you're working in a component or service or somewhere like ng module itself, right, we use import and we mention the specific module from that module, okay, from that file or from that dependency. So we mention that particular module name from this one, because it might have more modules or more files, but you want to use this one specifically. That's the reason you're importing it. Even in our components also, if you go to let's say if you go to app component, okay, so we import a specific thing component here on init template ref uchild from Angular core. That means Angular core has many modules or many decorators or many classes or services, but you want to use these only these 4 in our case. Okay, and person service also has a service, single service called person service. That's why we are importing a single service. So we are not importing it as a star, import star, right? So we are importing as we are pointing to a specific service, a specific class, and we are importing that. But whereas you're importing JavaScript libraries, you have to use import star. Star means all functions, all independent functions, as so give some reference from the library name. Okay, and you can use with that reference. So that is how you can install JavaScript libraries. Also, there will be some CSS libraries also. CSS, for example, Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a CSS library. Okay, let me search here in the Google. Okay, so this is the Bootstrap CSS we have. So what it will do is basically it will have a lot of components. Okay, if you go to docs and if you go to the component section, so it will have a lot of sections already developed, or like already the CSS part is taken care, and you can just use copy paste the code to achieve certain functionality. For example, if you take accordion as an example, so this functionality is written already. Okay, if I click on it, it will expand. If I click on it, it will be hidden or it will be closed, right? So in order to get this section, in order to achieve this functionality, what you have to do is you have to basically copy paste this HTML so that all these classes will be inside the Bootstrap. And because we have this classes assigned here, then you'll achieve this functionality. In the same way, there are alerts. Okay, in order to get this alert, okay, this code and this background and everything, you have to copy paste this section, these 3 lines, so that these 2 classes will be referenced from the Bootstrap CSS, and it will you can see in the browser this output. If you want to give if you want to use the danger alert, then you can use this one, or if you want to use the warning alert, you can use this one. Okay, all this we have available alerts in Bootstrap. Okay, same with badges. Okay, so this is how you can get your badge. Mostly on the buttons and somewhere you see the badges, right? So this is how you can see. And the buttons also, the default buttons will look bad, but Bootstrap buttons will look clean and neat, right? So it look professional. So in order to get this primary button, you have to use this one. Okay, you have to use 2 classes. One is BTN and BTN primary. You will get this button. The same way, we can use all these components. So there are many components, and there are many forms, and there are many layout related classes. Okay, so once you're familiar with that, then you'll understand how to use Bootstrap. But in order to install Bootstrap in Angular, you have to again use the node package manager, right? So wherever you're installing or you're working on any third-party module, first step is you have to do this npm install and that name. Okay. If you don't know how to use which name you want to put here, then what you can do is you can go to Google and just search for how to install Bootstrap in Angular. Okay, you will get many documentation and many Stack Overflow questions, right? So you can just click on that, and they will guide you. Okay, so you can use this command npm I means install here. This is short form for install. Okay, npm I Bootstrap, and the once that is installed, you have to include it. So okay, so where you can include that? So where you can include that? There are two ways you can include CSS file, right? So one is put your CSS import statement inside your styles.css. Okay, if you go to the project and if you go to the styles.css, this is the parent CSS, right? So here you can put this line import, and from where we are importing from the node modules, because whenever you execute npm install bootstrap, that will come and it will sit here somewhere in this ng modules folder, and you have to basically refer that and import that css file in style.css. Okay, when Angular builds, right? So when you use the Angular build command, then the content inside this bootstrap min.css will be fetched and it will be replaced here. Okay, in this file it will replace, and it will create a separate CSS file for that all the styles, and that will be moved to the dish folder. Okay, dish folder somewhere here, right? So this file, right? So it will have all the bootstrap styles. See here, Bootstrap 513, that is the version name. And how Angular will do that? It will basically, while building the project, it will look for import statements in the app.css and sorry, styles.css, and it will try to import that file from ng modules, and it will replace and it will create a styles dot some version m.css in the dist folder. That is your build. Okay, so that is the first step. Okay, so we can include that import statement inside the styles.css is one step, and the second step what we can do is you can go to I think angular.json, and in the angular.json we have different things, right? So inside the projects, inside your project name, and go to architect section. Inside that, the build configuration, in the build configuration, in the style section, you can add that line. Okay, you can put double quotes, and you can give the full path of that bootstrap. Okay, so it is in ng modules, right? You can just copy this and put it here. Okay, this is the second way of importing your CSS. So instead of in styles.css importing, you can basically do here. Okay, both are basically same. Okay, if you include in styles.css, then while Angular is building, it will go to the style.css and import that file from ng modules, and it will put in the styles.css. But here it will basically importing as a separate file. Okay, the entire file is imported as a separate file, but here it will include as part of styles.css itself. Okay, these are the two ways we can import CSS libraries. Okay, so the first one is JS libraries. Basically Bootstrap also has some JS library, but mostly we don't use in Angular. Okay, just concentrate on this one. So how to install Bootstrap? Execute this command and just import it in the styles.css. Here is styles.css, right? So just import this, add this line, that's it. Okay, it will be imported. So this step is easier than the second one. Instead of going to Angular JSON and look for the styles array and then put the statement here, right? So instead of that, you can just use the styles.css itself to import your any CSS. This bootstrap.min.css is just an example, but any CSS file if you are importing, you can put here. And one thing I want to highlight is the bootstrapping process, and this bootstrap is entirely different. Okay, there is no relation at all. Okay, so the bootstrapping process is Angular starting process, and this bootstrap is a third-party library or third-party plugin where there are many components developed for us by uh, some developers, and they gave this for free. Okay, they put this in the internet in this site, and it is available for free for us to use. Okay, but the bootstrapping process in Angular and Bootstrap is entirely different. Both are not at all related. So this is how you can install JS libraries and CSS, what we saw. But the other way is installing third-party Angular modules. Okay, so because Angular is a modular framework, so anyone can develop modules and they can put it for free in the internet. So how we can use? So let's explore some scenario first, and then we'll go to the actual thing. So assume that you're working on an application and where you want to show charts, okay, bar chart or pie chart or table or something like that. So instead of writing that code by yourself, it is a lot of time taking, and it'll basically very difficult to write those such codes. But if you look in the npm libraries, you can basically find these charts, okay, ngx charts. So ngx charts are basically our free charting library where we can use all these charts, okay, horizontal, vertical bar chart, line charts, area charts, pie charts, bubble charts, donut, and heat map trimmer. So all these things are free for us, okay, we can use them. Now how we can basically use that? The first thing is we have to install that, okay. I want to see few examples, but I can't find custom charts page. I think this is the demo. Yeah. So these are the charts. Okay. If you want to use an Angular project, you can use these charts also. But how can you use that? So in order to use this, this is Angular module, right? So in order to use this Angular module, you have to first install it using the npm. Okay. So even the JavaScript libraries or CSS libraries, um, you can install using the npm. In the same way, you can install Angular libraries also using the same npm command. And now once you install this one will go to the ng modules folder, and then it is available for to use. Okay. Now how you can use? We already saw third-party libraries has to be imported in the import section in that module, right? So if you want to use the ng charts module in app module, then in the ng modules import section, you have to import that module. If you want to use this some of the feature modules, let's say student module, then in the student module, go to the import section and try to import that module. Okay. So that is the first second step you have to do. First step is install, and second step is to import, and then third step is to use it in this module. Okay. Now in this module, go to any component, app component or any XYZ component, and just try to use the components offered by this module. This is a module, right? It will have many components. So bar chart is one such component inside this module, and in order to render the bar chart, we have to use this component. Okay, ng charts bar vertical is a vertical bar chart component. So once you use this one inside, let's say app component or student component or student marks component, then this will be rendered. Okay, the chart will come. So this is very easy to use third-party libraries in Angular. Okay, this is like little tricky when you go for the JS libraries, but in order to use Angular modules, third-party Angular modules, it is very easy. So first you do this install, and second is you import, and third you can use it wherever you want. Okay. So any questions?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. So yeah, I think we covered these two topics as well. If you have any doubts, we can cover them. Otherwise, we can start the project from next class.
We can start the project.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Till then. So I want you to go through all these topics once. Just refresh this topics, and then we'll start with the project. Okay.
Absolutely, sir. Yeah, sure.
Okay then. Yeah. Thank you. Let's connect in the next class.
Okay, sir. So, tomorrow or?
Not tomorrow. Maybe on Monday.
Okay, sir. Fine. See you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.